And I said when I finish Final Fantasy VII, the original, I was gonna put together this tier maker before I started the Intergrade. Forgot, so I finally got around to it. Um, Here's my list. Um, it's kind of down and dirty list, but so if you go first, you go one, two, three. I never played those yet. Yeah, those are actually on the list. I would love to go back and play those three. Um, I think I have copies of them. I'd have to go check. So, one, two, three. I really don't want to go into like pixel remaster games and stuff like that because I like the original stuff. I don't like the upgraded pixel stuff for these. So, um, Final Fantasy 11, never played it. I knew about it. I even saw it when it came out. PS2, it had a modem update and all sorts of stuff to it, but I never got into 11. Um, I've seen people play it, just doesn't base my style of play or anything like that. And at the time when it came out, I just wasn't into MMOs. So, um, yeah. Then the next one is Final Fantasy 4 AF. I never did that one. So those are my non-plays so far. Um, 11 and 4 AF, probably not going to hit those. But 1, 2, 3, I do want to hit those. Every other title I have played. I'm going to start at my S tier and work my way down. Um, so my S tiers are Final Fantasy 6. This was the first Final Fantasy 7 game I ever played. It was my introduction into the series. I loved it. The storyline was great. The way that it played was great. Like I've replayed it multiple times ever since. I've replayed it trying different things. I've gone online and looked at, okay, here's things you can do. Attempted to get like all of Shadow's dream sequences. I put in the time into six. I put a lot of different time into six to do a lot of different things with it. Um, I really enjoyed it. I would max level characters, max level every spell sometimes on various characters. So, Final Fantasy 15 and Final Fantasy 16 are the next two. I really loved 15. 15 was really good. I didn't play like the DLCs for the additional stories and stuff like that. It wasn't something I needed. I liked the base play of 15 in and of itself. It was a really good game. Storyline was actually pretty good, you know. And then the next one is Final Fantasy 16, and that's the one we just finished playing through. I did the playthrough of, came out, a few months ago. So I love 16. It was really great. It was good for the next step in the Final Fantasy series. Really well designed. I can't wait to see what future Final Fantasy does based off that. So those are my S tier. Those are my top ones. Those are my favorites. The next one are the A tier. Um, they're great games, but you know they fell short somewhere like that. First one is Final Fantasy IV. I like Final Fantasy IV. It's really great. Cecil, Butts, Golbez, not Butts. Cecil, Golbez, Red Wings. It story's a little disconnected, and I think that's one of the reasons why I don't give it an S tier. If the story wasn't as disconnected as it is, it would be great. But it had excellent bosses. You have the Four Fiends, you have Golbez, you have Zeromus, and if you've been playing Final Fantasy 14, all those guys came up in the patch series that they've just worked through, the 6.0 patch series. And, it was amazing. It really kind of brought those to life. The music is there, stuff like that. Next to that is Final Fantasy 14. Play that constantly. Final Fantasy 14 was my first MMO, really, ever. And it was my first introduction to an MMO type game. I went into it thinking I was playing a solo RPG. And, you know, because of that, I didn't like get like a great, probably didn't, it took me a bit to get into it, but I've been playing it for several years now. Um, I joined just before Endwalker came out. Finished my playthrough not too long before Endwalker, the drop date of Endwalker. So there's pieces that I've experienced that were off content. I never really liked it. Inside of it, like things like Baja and Eureka, I don't like those. I just never liked those exploration zones. They're they weren't fun for me. But doing the raids, the extremes, I tried Savage raiding, wasn't good at it. So I didn't, it's something that I didn't continue with. Um, but there's something there for everybody. It does have a free trial up to level 70 and then a Stormblood, um, which they just expanded, which is really great opportunity for more people to get into it. They're prepping for in the summer for Dawntrail to come out. There's still a lot of content coming out even before that, so there's a lot of fun. There's a lot of stuff in there and a lot of things for a lot of people to do in the game. So, where future goes after 10 years, not having played it for the last 10 years, but after 10 years of it, I think is going to an amazing future. They want to go 10 more years, so we'll see where it goes. Next to that is Final Fantasy 13. Final Fantasy 13 was the first one I played off a, I wouldn't say console. It was on Xbox when I first played it. Um, I'd have to say off PlayStation because I mean, you had 5, 6, 7 was the first PlayStation point. 6 below, they were like Super NES, NES, kind of there. Um, but PlayStation was where I had played most of mine up to that point. 13 was the first time I played on an Xbox, because I had an Xbox, not PlayStation at the time. And I really enjoyed it. 13, I mean, there were points within the game where I got frustrated. I would get super frustrated with all sorts of different things, like fighting some of the espers and stuff like that. And I think some of that's what puts it on an A versus an S tier for me. But I liked a lot of the characters. I liked a lot of the story arc. I liked what was going on in a lot of it. And then the next one is Final Fantasy VIII. 8's, Squall, Rinoa, and that story. And I mean, it introduces you to Gunblades. It introduces you to a new kind of play style, a new kind of triple triad that gets introduced there. It does kind of some good things with it. Um, it's and I liked the story. I really liked where it went. It was one of those stories that you could really get into and follow and play along with, which makes it a great game. So and that's why I have it on the A tier. I really enjoyed playing that one. As you can see, my B tier is super huge. A lot of them fall there. Um, Final Fantasy V, to me, it was really disconnected. So much disconnection. You had the two different worlds. You pushed the worlds together, and then like everything was all weird. And the crystal, it was just for me. I think it was all over the place. It really wasn't a connected story. It wasn't like a lot of things well connected together. To me, had decent gameplay, but it wasn't really that connected to me. So, falls on in the B tier for there. Final Fantasy VII, as you saw, I got frustrated. I never completed Final Fantasy VII. I really don't. A lot of games, I don't care if I complete them or not, especially a story, because once you hit the end of a story, it's the end of a story. New Game Plus didn't exist for a long time in a lot of games, so I never really, you know, finish stories because of that sometimes, because you just get a cutscene that shows some things that you encounter across the storyline, wasn't, there wasn't really a connection to complete a story many times. As far as 7 goes, I really didn't like the story, unfortunately. Um, you get tied to certain characters. I don't like Cloud. Um, it's not a character I really like. Wasn't a character I could get behind, I would say. Um, so this is kind of where I fall 7. I did the original gameplay through. And I mean, there were things, Eris. I liked Eris. She's a great character. I wish they didn't kill her off. Barrett. Didn't like Barrett as a character. Tifa. Tifa's a decent character, stuff like that. So, and I can't, you know, the remake versions of 7. Remake was so much better. Can't see what they do with Rebirth because it looks amazing. And it's 2 discs. It is 2 physical discs that they're requiring. I don't know how they're going to get away with that, but we'll see. The next one over there is Final Fantasy X. Um, what to say about 10? 10 has an okay story. You got, you know, who's a little cutie, and then you got I can't remember his name. The other character across from her, who's a Blitzball player and just sucks. That's all I can say. I mean, I didn't like Blitzball. I didn't like. There were game mechanisms inside of 10 that I liked, like the way that you could learn skills and abilities and stuff like that. That I did like, but there was just so many things in 10 that just it felt hodgepodge put together a lot of times, and it just wasn't that great for me. 13 Lightning Returns. I really enjoyed. Lightning's one of my favorite characters, all-time favorites. Lightning. I love Lightning. She was a great character, great design. Lightning Return. Um, the time thing and how a lot of things worked and how it kind of clicked together with Lightning Returns. It didn't connect. It didn't This is a good game, good concept. A lot of things were disconnected. So, Final Fantasy 9. I didn't like Monkey Butt. um, I didn't like a lot of the characters in Final Fantasy 9. I think that's what puts it down on a beat. The story is meh. There was so much they could have done with that story a lot differently, but it was just so meh. Everything was. I think that's why it's kind of down there. It's just meh. Yeah. There's some good characters here, there that you run across, but for the most part, it wasn't great. Final Fantasy 12. I played the original 12 and I played Zodiac Age. Zodiac Age was much better, but they had a chance to rework it and fix it and make things better with Zodiac Age. Fix things that needed to be fixed from the original 12. The original 12 was actually they were still good. Um, with 12, it was a lot of the character line. Van didn't like. No, Penelope, I forgot what her name was. Didn't like. Those are characters that just they didn't seem to fit in to the story and everything going on. But then you have characters like I can't remember his name. Our You have our Vieira in Fran, and you have I forgot what his name is, Balthazar or something like that. Um, you have these other characters who are really great, and they actually do fit into the story and everything going on. So 12 has a lot of disconnects, but I did like a lot of the battle systems in 12 are actually very smart and well designed. Um, the I forgot what it's called, but the chessboard where you could pick and choose your stuff and you could apply your skill points however you wanted. That was an amazing concept, and I love it when they do concepts like that, where you can pick what you need, and in fact, picking certain things unlock your ability to use certain things or your inability to use certain things in some cases. So I did like that function of it, and so that's my B tier. My C tier, I've only got 2 on. I got 10-2. I it was a girl power game, and it was came out at a time when you didn't have a lot of games like it. So or I think there were actually a lot of games being made similar and trying to do stuff like that, girl power stuff, because it was only a female team. But like, Riku really didn't fit in. Riku wasn't a great character. You had Yuna who is just like, yeah, let's do this, yay! But it was so disconnected. really didn't work well with for me. So um, I did like the dress sphere concept. I like several concepts behind the dress sphere and everything like that. So you know, take that. You know, it is what it is. The other one's 13.2, and 13.2. I think it was just like because you were changing the timeline and you're shifting here and you're shifting there and then you're going down. You know, it was very disconnected. Um, in fact, I don't think a lot of the gameplay like connected well for me. Um, uh, they did have the ability to, collect the monsters and gain them as supports or DPS, add them as a third character in your team. Uh, but it really wasn't that connected of a story. It really didn't work that well as a story. Um, there were good things about it, but I could say that about every Final Fantasy. Every Final Fantasy has good pieces to it, but they're not. Some aren't great. It's, you know. But when it comes down a lot to me with Final Fantasy, it's a story. Um, when you're playing a solo RPG, you've got to be invested in the story. The story has to be able to keep you in and draw you in. And so the rankings actually, a lot of them lie around the stories. Story plus gameplay plus ingenious setups. When you start putting those things together, those really make for a great game in general. Somewhere where you go very ingenious and you do something very different, um, really make for a great game. But yeah. So I mean, those are my that's my tier list on them. It's the main series of Final Fantasies. I have a couple of I mean, Tactics isn't on here. Tactics, I didn't like Tactics that much. Wasn't that great of a game for me. I did like, you know, the ability to assign people different jobs, the job function and stuff like that. It was okay. But that job function was also used in 5. So, you know, it was a reused function. In fact, the job function is kind of reused in several Final Fantasies. So, the multi-job function. And then one of the other ones, I think it's Crystal Chronicles. That was just, it was a goofy little game. And that's all I can say about it. It had aspects of Final Fantasy, but it was just this goofy little game that was created. So, yeah. But I mean, um, honestly, those are my thoughts on the game series and stuff like that. I did go to Tiermaker to grab this one. It was probably the best tier listing I could find for them. You can always go make your own, put it out there. Let's see how people think about stuff. But hopefully, I play 1, 2, 3 in the soon to be future here. Not sure when. Got to kind of work it into the schedule with everything else going on, but I hopefully get to play those. I do want to play them. There is also I forgot. There's a couple other Final Fantasy titles I would like to get to as well. So, but yeah, you get to what you get to, and then but you know what? As always, I mean, if you are playing Final Fantasy, I hope you're enjoying them. Doesn't matter from 1 to 16 or any in between. I hope you enjoy them. Um, that they have good aspects to them and they're pretty good items. So, I hope you're enjoying playing Final Fantasy, no matter which one it is. And then, you know, don't forget to do the YouTube, like, comment, subscribe. Hey, if you don't agree with some of my tier and some of my setups, let me know. Tell me. I'll take it. I mean, I have my thoughts and my opinions, and everyone else does too. So, um, but yeah. And as always, we're gamers. Got to keep on enjoying gaming.